Okay, so we have a couple of attendees with us. A very good evening and a warm welcome to all of you who have joined us for this evening for Shine HR Live. I'm Tanisha, the event coordinator for today. Shine HR Live, as you know, is an exclusive series of webinars to discuss and dissect the issues or trends that concerns the HR community with insights and advice from the experts themselves. And today we have one such expert from the data science community with us, Mr. Madhukar Kumar, Chief Analytics Officer, Shine.com, who will be talking about how artificial intelligence in search and recruitment can help you get ahead of the curve. To give you a background about Madhukar, Mr. Madhukar Kumar brings with him 14 years of rich experience in data science and artificial intelligence across a multitude of both global clients and verticals. He has been conferred lifetime distinguished membership of the Leaders Excellence at Howard Square Group. In 2019, Madhukar was awarded AI Leader of the Year at International Business and Academic Excellence Awards by GISR Foundation and American College of Dubai. He has also been rated as one of the top 4 data scientists from India by an Australian advisory firm for his significant contribution in science and technology for Australian firms. Well, AI and data science is not only where his heart lies, as Madhukar is also a very passionate athlete. He has completed several marathons and ultra endurance sports like Olympic triathlon and cyclotron. So with this, without any further ado, let me invite Mr. Madhukar Kumar to take over this evening. Mr. Madhukar, over to you.
Thanks, Tanisha, for beautiful introduction, and welcome everyone to the webinar today. So topic of today's webinar is AI in search and recruitment. What I have done, I have divided this webinar into 6 different sections. And so first section, I'll be talking about what is artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning. So try to demystify the jargons which you must be hearing day in, day out in today's scenario. In second section, I'll be talking about how AI is helping various industries in solving their complex business problems. Third, I'll be talking about what is search and 3-layered search architecture that we follow in Shine. In fourth section, I'll be talking about Shine Search 2.0. So we have recently released our search version 2. So I'll be talking about that in fourth section. Next section, I'll be talking about 3 Shine AI case studies that we have developed internally. One is ARS, that is called Application Relevance Score. Second is Sectional CV Parser. And third is a Job Alert Mailers. And last section, I have reserved for a Q&A session. So in the meantime, while I'll be talking about, in all the sections, I'll be covering different topics. So if in case you have any questions, you can, put that in the question section. And I'll pick those questions in the last section of the Q&A. So now moving to the first section of today's webinar is what is artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning. Okay, so all these concepts you must have been hearing for past couple of years, and let me tell you very honestly, these are not the concepts that have been developed recently, not even 4, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. If I talk about artificial intelligence, it was started way back in 1950s, and different algorithms were developed way back, maybe 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and all that. But definitely they have not been developed, in last couple of years, when we in the industry have started listening about these concepts a lot. So what's the reason behind it? Okay, so in a nutshell, I'll tell you, 14 years back when I started my career, so it was, I have not changed my career in the sense like, I was in analytics space right from day one. Okay, and at that point of time, industry, we used to have structured data. Okay, and standard statistical techniques, were able to solve those kind of problems that we used to face day in, day out in the industry. And that's why, there was no need to get into the complex algorithms. But if we'll talk about, like, let's say starting 2013, 14, social media prominence came into the picture, social media analytics came into the picture, and then, unstructured data started coming in. So unstructured data, when I'm talking about unstructured, like, let's say it can be text, or it can be speech, or image, or a video. So, all the standard algorithm statistical techniques that we used to, that were being used earlier to solve business problems related to that, they were not able to solve the complex business problem related to unstructured data. And that's why, the industry needed to shift to, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning, because they are the ones who, came to the picture. Why? Because, they are able to solve those kind of complex problems uh, related to unstructured data. And also, it can be extended to structured. So now, if you talk about structured plus unstructured, both any problem related to these two environments, now AI can, help you solve that problem. And that's the primary reason why you have started listening a lot about, AI, ML, and DL, while it was invented way back. But now we are hearing, because as an industry, and I'm not talking only about recruitment industry, I'm talking about any industry you talk about in today's scenario, everyone has adopted AI because of the nature of the complex nature of the business problem and complexity of the data. That's how you need to use AI and solve that. So in a nutshell, if I'll talk about, and that's what I keep on saying, that AI, machine learning, and deep learning, these are tools to solve the business problem. So this is the most simplest, answer, in one liner answer, I can give, that this is what AI, ML, and DL stands for me. Now, getting into a little bit of, nitty-gritties, AI or artificial intelligence, it's any technique that helps computer mimic human brains. Okay, and now if we'll talk about machine learning, that is a subset of AI which consists of techniques that help solving business problems using various, data features. And deep learning, again a subset of machine learning, and subsequently a subset of artificial intelligence that helps in solving more complex problem by, using multi-layered neural networks. So AI, machine learning, deep learning, and that's why they are pretty much interlinked. So that's how industry is using, and that's what in a nutshell AI, ML, and DL stands for. So moving to my next section, how AI is helping various industries in solving, complex business problems. So as I mentioned earlier, like, I just, if you can see, these two slides, I have picked just 6 different industries where, AI is being used. And I've just mentioned a couple of use cases, like in all the different industries. I picked 3 use cases where AI is being used to solve the problem. But at the same time, these are just 3 use cases I have picked, not necessarily, there are multiple use cases in all the industries wherever there is data, be it structured, be it unstructured, and any complex business problems, AI is coming for the rescue and helping the business solve that particular problem. So not necessarily these 6 industries, any industry at the moment you think about, AI is being used for solving the business problem. So BFS, like, banking and financial services, let's talk about a couple of use cases. So in banking and financial services, it's very important to identify fraudulent candidates at the time of applications. Again, this is a classification problem where, you can use machine learning or deep learning to solve this particular problem. Again, identifying cross-sell, upsell opportunity for various products, again a classification problem, and AI can be used. Likelihood of refinancing of existing mortgage with competitors, again a AI problem. So in all the 3 cases, AI is being used heavily in banking and financial service sector. And that's how these problems are getting solved. As I mentioned, there are more problems. In the interest of time and other things, obviously I have not included all, but there are multiple use cases where AI is being used. Now coming to insurance, one of the AI or artificial intelligence use case is, reducing manual intervention in property claims through NLP and image analytics. So that is one use case. There's a very interesting product that I had built in my previous organization called Imagine. So again, it was a insurance AI use case. Second AI use case is identifying fraudulent property claims, chatbots, and virtual agents, KYC, and signature matching. So all these are AI use cases in insurance industry. Moving next to healthcare industry, like one of the AI use case can be diagnosis assistance using image analytics on X-ray and CT scan images. Now I can tell you there are various startups that have only picked up this particular use case and are working extensively on this because this is a huge problem, and AI is helping a lot in solving this particular problem. Again, patient data analytics or personalized medication and care or earlier cancer detection, all these are AI use cases in healthcare industry. Moving to the next slide, manufacturing. Everyone must have heard about driverless autonomous cars, transportation optimization or predictive maintenance. All these are AI or machine learning or deep learning use cases. Again, coming to media industry, news aggregation or generation through NLG, which is called natural language generator. Again, a AI use case. Better recommendation engine or hyper targeted advertising, again a AI use case, or image search and copy relevance. So in a nutshell, what I was trying to mention that these are few use cases that I have listed down, and there are many other use cases as well where AI is being used to solve the particular business problem. If you have the data, if the industry have captured the relevant data to solve that particular problem. Now intentionally I have kept intentionally I have kept recruitment as the last one, because from here onwards I'll dig deeper into this because as topic of the webinar today is also AI in recruitment and AI in search and recruitment. Yeah, so recruitment better matching algorithm. So what exactly it is? So let's talk about any particular job portal. So there would be two kinds of two types of folks. They would be doing the search. Either it would be a job seeker or it would be a recruiter, right? So let's if I'll talk about Shine use case, if I'll talk about my portal, like I so we have approximately 80 lakh active candidates and 3 lakh live jobs. So yeah, certainly I'm discounting this COVID scenario because obviously number of jobs has gone down a little bit. But yeah, overall we have 3 lakh jobs and 80 lakh active candidates. Now, why recruiter is coming onto our portal? Because we have candidates. Why candidates are coming onto our portal? Because we have jobs. Crystal clear. Now, the point is, like, let's say if a recruiter has come onto our portal, post a job description, and for that particular job description, they are looking for the right candidate. Now, can we throw candidates with the required skill set matching to the job description? So that would be job to candidate matching. Now, let's say if a recruiter has liked that particular candidate, can we throw candidates with similar skill set or matching similar skill set with the earlier candidate? That would be candidate to candidate matching. Like, for example, if a candidate has come onto our portal, and then can we throw jobs which matches to the candidate's existing skill set? That would be candidate to job matching. If a candidate has liked a particular job, then can we throw similar jobs or jobs with matching skill set? So that would be job to job matching. So now you understand that whenever I'm talking about, or whenever people talk about matching algorithm in the recruitment space, they talk about these 4 aspects of matching, which is job to job, job to candidate, candidate to candidate, candidate to job. And how this is being done is, again, artificial intelligence and machine learning, deep learning comes out of the picture, and how you do the better matching, that's how all the game is. Improved search experience. Anyways, I'll be talking in detail about how AI is being used extensively in all the different layers of the search architecture that we follow. So we follow 3-layered search architecture. I'll be talking in detail about that. Now, sectional CV and JD parser, why this is very important, because mostly, like let's say, for example, a candidate is, if candidate is looking for a job, if he or she is a desperate job seeker, so what they do, like they go on to all the websites and all the job portals, start start registering, start doing the registration. So at the time of registration, every job portal will ask for so many information that the candidate is supposed to fill. And what happens that initial one job portal, second job portal, the candidate might get generally gets bored, and not necessarily second time, third time, he or she will not pass on all the required information with the same enthusiasm, and that's why the information leakage starts happening. And that's why but at the same time, you don't make candidate don't make or doesn't make 4 or 5 different resume. Ideally they make one resume, they update the resume, and they just upload the same resume on all the portals. So that's why all the information that is being posted on the resume is more or less the right one and the correct one. And that's why it's important to extract those information from CV, and then use that for be it search or different job recommendation, or improve search experience. So that's why it's very important. And again, how you extract JD information, and in subsequent slides you will understand how this help us in various sections. So sectional CV, we have invested a lot, and right now we have developed our own sectional CV parser. So I'll be talking in detail about that in subsequent slides. Yeah. Yeah. So now moving to this next section, which is search. So what is search? Like, so if I talk about recruitment space, so here folks would be doing the search. Either it would be a job seeker or a recruiter, right? But in case of different sectors, like for example e-commerce or real estate, you can talk about different examples. So what I'm trying to mention that just the user would change, but ultimately the basic fundamentals of search doesn't change, it remains the same. So here in recruitment space, the user would be recruiter or job seeker. In different sectors, the user who would be doing the search would be different. Okay. So now if I'll talk about our recruitment space, so what exactly happens is, like recruiter or candidate starts doing the search, right? And then so like let's say for example recruiter is typing is looking for data scientist, and then just started typing and types DA. Okay, but the machine or the search engine at the back end should be smart enough to understand the intent of the user. So like let's say the moment you put DA, data scientist or data analyst, keywords starting from DA should pop up, and then instead of typing the complete keyword, the user can just pick and that's how complete that query. For example, if the user is typing JA, so the system needs to understand that it might be the user might be looking for Java developer, so JA, the moment you write JA, Java developer pops in. So that's called autocomplete, and that's why smart search engine obviously takes care of that. Now let's say you put data scientist, using this autocomplete. Now all the related job titles related to data scientist or Java developer or any particular thing that you have typed for or the user have typed for, then what are the related keywords? So in terms of skill, like let's say for example, if somebody has written machine learning, So deep learning or computer vision or data analysis, these might be related keywords or related skills with machine learning. If you talk about designation, like let's say for example data scientist, machine learning scientist or AI scientist, these might be the related designations. So that's how suggester would automatically get popped up, and then user can basis his or her requirement can very conveniently go and pick up the right ones. So this is how suggester and autocomplete is being done. Now once that is being done, once the query gets completed by the user, now at the backend what happens, like a smart search engine or a smart machine, all depends how you have trained your algorithm, how you have trained your machine. So now how you query is decomposed, how query is recognized, and then the query reconstruction happens at the backend. So for example, in the same box wherever you are typing the search, you have just somebody writes that data scientist, machine learning, Accenture, Bangalore. Okay, and obviously the user had not provided the right information that okay, data scientist is title, or Bangalore is location, etc., etc. But if the at the back end, if the search engine is smart, that machine should be able to understand that though user had mentioned data scientist, so this is a title or designation, machine learning is a key skill, Accenture is a company, and Bangalore is a location. Okay, so first query is decomposed and then query is recognized, whether it's a location or a designation or a company. Now the next is query construction, reconstruction. Now for example, you have written data scientist, right? So now at times what happens, like when you are looking, when somebody is doing the search, not necessarily you have complete 100% understanding of how search would throw the result, or exactly you might be okay with few more information pitching in. So because company to company designations, being in this industry, I'm sure you understand that designation in one industry, in one company would be different as compared to the same guy moving to another company, designation might be different. So a senior data scientist in one organization might be a lead data scientist in another organization, maybe an associate data scientist in another big company, so something so on and so forth. Okay, so that's why the moment you type data scientist, now what would be the related title? So related title can be senior data scientist or associate data scientist, junior data scientist, or machine learning scientist. Somebody may write artificial intelligence scientist, somebody might write computer vision scientist. So that system needs to, and I'm sure as a recruiter, if I'm looking if I'm doing the search, if though I have written data scientist, but if I get a resume where somebody is mentioning like let's say machine learning scientist, I might be okay evaluating that resume and doing the shortlisting if that the candidate is good. So that's why system needs to understand and do this semantic expansion of related titles. Same goes with key skills. For example, machine learning is a key skill that is being mentioned. So what are the related skills that is there along for machine learning? So that's how semantic expansion works. So at the backend, this semantic expansion, smart search engine does this semantic expansion at the backend, and also personalization is being taken care of. So now, how does a personalization work? So like, let's say, for example, if I go ahead and do a Google search and just type, best food restaurant, that's it, best food restaurant. Okay, then because Google knows my location, Google understands, because Google has all the data that is required. So in the first page, they will throw all the good restaurants in Gurgaon, But again, at the same time, if I am traveling to Bangalore, and if my location is Bangalore, then if in Bangalore, if I'll type, good restaurants, Google understands and Google knows that now my location is Bangalore. So they will start giving the good restaurants in Bangalore and not Gurgaon. So that's the personalization. The more data you have about that, how smart search engine understand that and do and throw a personalized a result to the basis the user preferences. Okay. So now once these things gets done, then the next is, and at the back end, the data is stored in various clusters and or filters to be very precise, and how user, uses the filter basis that, search is being suggested or search result is being popped up. So in a nutshell, this is how the search, works. And again, as I mentioned, here initially, you can see job or candidate requirement. So again, in recruitment space, as I mentioned, user would be either a recruiter or a candidate or a job seeker. In different industries, user would be different. But this is how, search functions, and this is how, AI comes into the picture and helps in, throwing right result for the right user. So moving to the next section, this is the 3-layered search architecture that we follow. So I'll explain how, artificial intelligence helps at each stage. So in market, if we'll talk about, mostly people talk about, the core. You can see the first one, that is the core layer. So this is what mostly is being talked about, but this you can also assume that this is just the tip of the iceberg. Okay, so I'll talk about what exactly, few things I have already talked about in the earlier slide, but I'll talk about more, what exactly we are working and we are doing and all that. So first layer is core. Okay, on top of that core layer is a personalization layer, and on top of that there's a business logic layer that is there in our search framework. So this is the 3-layered search architecture that we follow. Now what is core? So as I mentioned earlier, like like how the user is typing the query, how you are understanding the user preferences, and basis that you are suggesting, auto suggester comes into the picture, and so auto complete and suggesters comes into the picture. And then once the query is completely typed by the user, how query is decomposed and then recognized and then reconstructed. So that happens at the back end, again, how semantic expansion is being used and all that. So that is what is being done at the core. So now there are other things also that is important, and that's what I'll talk about here in core piece. So for example, predictive algorithm or L2R, learn to rank. I'm not sure how many of you have heard about this L2R, but this is a state-of-the-art algorithm, and across the globe, all the search engines are either using it, either already using it, or if not using it, planning to apply this concept and start using it. So what is this learn to rank algorithm? So for example, recruiter, a particular recruiter has typed Java developer, okay, and then a result comes in. Now recruiter is looking into all the candidates that is coming into different pages, and let's say the recruiter has downloaded, clicked or downloaded the candidate on 2nd position, 5th position and 8th position. Okay, so now all this information is being stored. Not only the information that this particular recruiter has thrown this Java developer query and clicked candidates coming on 2nd position, 5th position and 8th position. At the same time, We also store the information that candidate coming on first position, third position, fourth position, sixth and seventh, and ninth onwards also. So they are the ones who got rejected. So we store this information. Okay. Now again, there might be another recruiter who also may be looking for Java developer, and again this result comes in, and that particular recruiter may basis their requirement and all that, may click for a candidate coming on first position or third position and 10th position. So we'll also save that information, what positions, what candidates are rejected, and what candidates are pegged in. So the intelligence of the crowdsource, so not basis only one on basis of preference of one particular recruiter, but overall for the same query, what is the crowdsource intelligence, and that is being used to develop the learn to rank algorithm, and which helps in coming up with the right boosting. So that is the crowdsource intelligence that comes from the picture. So we are working on that. Now you talk about now what is two-way matching. So what happens, like if you are looking for a candidate, so you might have some preferences, right? Obviously when a recruiter is doing the search, recruiter is representing the organization, right? So organization may have certain biases towards maybe from education institute, or maybe they are looking for candidates with same Java developer, but coming from premier colleges or particular companies, so on and so forth. So every recruiter who is typing a search will have some or the other biases. At the same time, candidate, though a candidate whose designation is Java developer, that candidate will also have some biases, right? So because we have when I'm talking about 80 lakh active candidates, in a nutshell, if I'll talk about, so we have 3.5 crore information of total candidates, so be it active and inactive. So we have all the information, like let's say if your candidate 5 years back, which particular company he was working on, prior to that, which company he was working on, he worked on, what was that designation, after that organization, which particular company he joined, what was the salary, expense, everything we have, so basis that we can also derive candidate preferences. Okay, some of the preferences they already highlight, but some of the intent based preferences we can derive from the resume. So then how to do this matchmaking between the recruiter and the candidate basis intent. So like let's say recruiter looking for clicking that particular resume or candidate, at the same time, if everything goes well, that candidate should also be having high likelihood to join that particular recruiter or organization. So that's a very tricky thing to solve, and this is something we are working on. And semantic expansion and NLP based search, more or less I already covered. So this particular piece comes in core part or core layer. Now let's focus on the personalization piece. So what is personalization layer? So there is profile based, like let's say for example, if somebody is working for the past 10 years in real estate sector, and he's looking for a sales job, but because I know that this particular candidate has worked for 10 years in the real estate industry, so they then preferably I would be I should be showcasing real estate jobs to the candidate. So like real estate jobs, real estate sales job, or jobs matching to the sales, even if so that's what, even if we do the trade-off between sectors, or like let's say exact job description that he is looking for, like sales job and all that, but I know that this is his, this would be his personalized behavior, like he would be inclined towards getting a real estate sales job. So can we do that? And all the real estate sales job ranks higher if that particular candidate is doing the job or doing the search. Like let's say for example, if a candidate is based out in Jaipur, basis IP and geolocation, we can easily deduce what exactly if that particular candidate is looking for a Python developer job, just start putting Jaipur based a Python developer job, that should rank higher. So applied jobs, or CV based, view based, like if the recruiter is looking, it's the same example that I talked about earlier, like basis recruiter organization biases can be in subsequent, such as like let's say if a recruiter is coming for the first time, obviously we won't be knowing the organizational biases, but subsequently there are organizations which are with us for past so many years, so we understand that organization, we understand that biases, and how we can use those information in throwing candidates which matches those biases, and those candidates rank higher in the search. So again, preference based info within CV, and it's a similar thing, like I know that what all where all I worked on and all that, so all information from the resume that is pretty handy with us, so we can deduce the personalized behavior of candidates, and that's how the personalization layer comes into the picture. Now on top of this, there's a business logic layer. What is this business logic? So like let's say for example, feature listing. So what is this feature listing? It's like there might be candidates who would be very actively looking out, right? And then they might have bought few products from Shine, or like let's say application highlighter or resume builder, so their resume would be built by professionals. So I'm not saying, or we are not saying that that candidates becomes a a much better candidate in terms of candidature, but what I say that this candidate is definitely looking out. This candidate, if gets hired, has a very high likelihood to join the organization. At the same time, in terms of resume, this resume would be a very enriched resume because it has been built by the professionals. And that's why what we do for such candidates, we there's a different color background that we give, so that when a recruiter is looking for candidates, that candidates gets highlighted and comes out pretty easy. So that is feature listing. Recency, for example, a recruiter is doing the search. At the same time, there would be candidates who might not have logged in for the past 1 year, or 8 months, 12 months, and all that, so on and so forth. So though that candidate might be very high in terms of matching, but at the same time even if that candidate, even if the recruiter shortlists that and spends so much time interacting and doing the shortlisting and all that, but the chances of that candidate joining the organization would be less. And that's why in the search, recency is also a factor that we keep into the picture, we keep into mind when we are doing the boosting. What is progressive search algorithm? So what we are seeing, that why algorithm has to be fixed, obviously when we are talking about AI and all that, so that comes from the picture, like it should be progressive. Like let's say for example, we and this is what you can very easily go and experience on our portal as well. So in Science Search 2.0 we have done that. So like let's say there are 12 filters that we saves. And like let's say for example, recruiter is looking for data scientists, and every time the recruiter is looking for data scientists, using that location filter, she is also using the location filter. So in subsequent searches, if that recruiter continuously go on doing the same search every time, the location filter, in terms of ranking, that gets upgraded. Okay. So in next couple of searches, if the query is same, that location might be the that location filter might be the first one. So that's how continuously keeps changing that. So that's what we have already done that, and you can experience that on our portal. Now, CV download versus view ratio, that is also a very important concept. So for example, in terms of matching, one candidate is like, let's say, two candidate, in terms of matching, both are same, and both candidates resume have been viewed 100 times, but the first candidate resume was downloaded 10 times versus the second candidate resume was downloaded 90 times. So now you also understand that the second resume or the second candidate uh, is much better as compared to the first one, and because there has to be a value why this candidate's resume was downloaded 90 times as compared to the first one only downloaded 10 times. So can we use this information, and can we use this information in search ranking? Okay. So now again, the downside of that is, like, that particular candidate might already be shortlisted or got the job, because that candidate would be a hot candidate in the market. Yeah. So this is what, in a nutshell, we follow in terms of search architecture within Shine, core, personalization, and business logic. And you can understand from the complexity that I'm talking about, all are very complex problems to solve. Some of the problems we have solved it, some of the problems we are already working, and you can very safely assume that we are using AI extensively to solve these kind of problems. Now moving to Shine Search 2.0, so it's been 13 months since I joined Shine, and since my joining, the focus got completely shifted to using AI and data science in all the different aspects, obviously to improve our searches. That was the key focus of the organization, and now we have a solid data science team within Shine who works on this search, and so now there are a lot of investment that has gone into, and that's why the search 2.0 that you can experience is much intelligent and powerful search as compared to the earlier version. Now, as I mentioned earlier also, AI and machine learning is being used heavily in query decomposition or recognition, or reconstruction. So I already talked about the examples earlier. So we are doing that. Now we understand that whether it's a in the same box, if you have written like, let's say, data scientist, machine learning, Accenture Bangalore, my machine will be able to very easily understand that machine learning is a key skill, Bangalore is a location, Accenture is a company, and data scientist is a job title. Now and obviously as I mentioned, high relevance search results surface faster, and we also store all the information, all the activities of the recruiters, because that that information is very handy, and that's what that's how we continuously want to work on and improve our search. Now next is intelligent highlight and may also know in snippet. So it's very important, whatever search result that we basis the query, whatever search result that we have got at the back end, how we show to the recruiter or the candidate. So that's why highlighting intelligent highlighting, and it's very important. So in snippet, our design team have worked a lot and improved the snippets. We also have introduced a feature may also know. So they are in skill set, there would be a few skill sets, and there would be may also know section where would be a detailed skills of that particular candidate is there. We have albeit anyways we have developed a CV parser, and using that we are coming up with, we have developed important versus non-important skills for all the candidates. So using that, that feature will also be used in may also know and skill set snippet. That's also very important. Personalization, again, as I mentioned, filter thing I talked about, you can go ahead and experience that on our portal. And then the last point I want to talk about is like what earlier used to happen, like we used to build a product and then there used to be a QA testing team internally, and then they used to do the testing, and that's how, if the result was satisfactory, then we do if there was some feedback, we do the tweaking, and then it used to go live. Now there's another added layer that we have another layer that we have added is a beta launch. So we have a seasoned recruiter panel of seasoned recruiters who who does this QA testing, who do the QA testing for the product. And then there's a very strong feedback loop that is there. So they experience so for example, in this case, Search 2.0, we first did the internal QA testing, then did the beta launch. In terms of beta launching, what we did, all the seasoned panel of seasoned recruiters experienced that search, and then pass the feedback. We consume the feedback, and again did the tweaking, and then we launched the Search 2.0. So that's what we have. Again, as I mentioned, I would request you guys to personally go and experience Search 2.0 right now. What is there, it is much better than earlier version. And again, as I mentioned, not everything has been completed, and definitely there are lots and lots of improvement that needs to be done. And my team is consistently working very hard to do all the improvement in the search. So that's all about Sign or Search 2.0. Next, as I mentioned, this is the last section that I'll talk about, and then I'll quickly open the open for Q&A session. So there are 3 AI case study that I'll talk about. I'll definitely not get into the nitty-gritties. So ARS, application relevance score. So what exactly it is, like, what happens that a recruiter, whenever they post a job, so like let's say for a particular job 1,000 candidates have applied. Okay, then it would be it becomes a very tedious task for the recruiter to actually go ahead and look into all the 1,000 resumes, right, and then do the shortlisting. So that's why what we have done, we have come up with a product called application relevance score. At the backend, it uses artificial intelligence and come up with a score, so basis the job description and basis the candidate skill set. So JD skill, candidate skill, we have developed a word-to-vec model, and first we tried developing the word-to-vec model, and then use a glove model, and then that's how at the moment first the matching is being done, and then after that basis different experience, salary, and all that. So first we come up with a score, and then that score is being divided into 5-star rating, 1 2 3 4 5, and then now a recruiter just needs to not necessarily look into all the candidates. They can just go ahead and look to 4-star or 5-star candidates, and can do the shortlisting. So that we have done. And in the interest of time, ideally I would love to talk more in detail, but definitely I won't be able to do that because of the interest of time. This product is 100% live, so recruiters can experience this. Sectional CV parser, this is one of the I'm very proud about this particular product. For the past 6 months, we were working on it and working on this particular product. And earlier we were using a third-party parser, and in the past 6 months, what we have achieved is right now a new in-house parser that we have developed, what it does, it extracts, whether it's a PDF, whether it's a doc or dockets, it extracts all the relevant information, be it a personal section or education or company designation, skill set, all the important information it can extract. And the earlier parser that we were using, the third party parser that we are using, again gold standard parser, but again in terms of accuracy we are beating in all the formats, PDF, doc, docket. So this is I'm very proud about, and I can very openly say that we are planning to file patent for this particular product. So this is something at the moment we are trying to productionize it. And then like let's say for example once we like still there are a few improvements that we are working on. And again the vision is like, let's say down the line we might not need the candidates to fill each and every information, and then you just upload the resume, we'll extract all the information at the back end, and it's good to go. So that's what the ideal scenario is, and that's where we want to achieve through our CV parser. Next is job alert mailers. Again, job recommendations, all the active candidates that we have onto our platform. We use artificial intelligence to come up with the right match jobs based on their skill set and other preferences. There are other candidates who have applied on some particular jobs. Then we extract that information and try to come up with similar jobs and send the recommendation. Again, at times for those candidates who have applied, if a candidate is a desperate job seeker, might not, even if he's working as a sales guy, he might be looking for a marketing job. So that's why not necessarily every time the user behavior would be the right behavior. So whatever behavior that user showcases, we send job recommendation, similar job recommendation. At the same time, we also send job recommendation for those candidates basis their profile, basis whatever skill set that they have, we do the matching at the back end and send the relevant job recommendations to that. So yeah, this is all I wanted to talk about in today's webinar. Now I'll open for questions. Sorry, I can see few of the questions. Not able to hear, no voice, sound, can't hear anything. Okay. Tanisha, I'm not able to read all the questions clearly. Can you please read the questions so that I can answer?
Absolutely. You're not able to read it?
Yeah, now I'm.
You
Okay,
have to maximize the window.
Yep. Okay. So, yeah. Sorry, I did not look into these questions earlier. I now anyways time is over. I hope I'm just hoping that there would be logistic issues in terms of not able to hear for some folks down the line. I'm just hoping, and I just wish that you guys were able to hear the session completely. Okay, so Tanisha, were you able to hear me completely?
Yeah, we all, most of us were able to hear you, Madhukar. We had
Okay.
checked. I think some of the people are facing issues, and that also when they when they re-logged in, the issue was we were able to resolve the issue.
Okay. So does the AI, Arjun Raj Purohit is asking, does the AI in portal gives an indication of how much percentage of skill gap in the, so sorry, I'm not able to see the complete, Tanisha, can you help me,
Sure, sure. So the question by Arjun Rajpurohit says, does the AI in portal gives an indication of how much percentage of skill gap in the CV versus JD description?
Yep. Good question, Arun. So yes, in terms of, we have all the information of the skill set that is required in the JD. We have all the information that is available in the candidate. So skill gap, we have the information. So yep. Next is Kalpesh is asking how search candidate from relevant industry like wire mesh manufacturing. How search candidate from relevant industry. Not able to understand what exactly this question is all about. If you are asking that how to search candidate from relevant industry, so in terms of filter, I think there's a functional area section, you can use that. So sorry, I'm not able to understand this completely. How to store our data for longer period? Again, this is a incomplete question. Nitin, how to store our data for longer period? I'm not sure if you're asking about saved searches. We can definitely go back and check if this is what exactly you are referring about. How to store our data for longer period as recruiter? Yep. So I'm assuming that you're talking about saved searches. So how long you can, what is the time frame, or what is the period that you can save for? We can come back on that. So yep. How to filter candidates from small locations? Okay, so I'm assuming, yeah, so this is something we are working on, in terms of locations, how to, no, that should be an easy bait, and so I'm assuming that you are just talking about filtering candidates. So all the search, that happens, so whatever query that you give, and then, you can just choose from filter condition, location filter. If some of the locations are not coming into the filter, so definitely we are working towards it, so that in future we'll look into there would be a optimum way, not necessarily each and every location can be put into, because then search would become very heavy. So to the best possible, we are looking into, and then we'll see. Next is
Sorry to interrupt. Just want to come back to Nitin Sharma's question, since you are having some problem to have a look at the entire question. So the question is how to store our data for longer period as recruiter.
Yeah, I got it. I read that.
Okay.
And that's why I answered, like, it's I'm assuming that Nitin is talking about saved searches.
All right.
So will the word-to-vec model work on passive candidates who do not update? Again, I don't know, there's some problem that, okay, now I understand that. Let's move to the next thing. So will the word-to-vec model work on passive candidates who do not update their resume? There are models to spot gaps between education and work. Why Shine is there a way I can read complete question, Tanisha or Vasundhara?
So please go to the dashboard. There you will be able to see questions. Click on the number 33 and you will be getting all the questions in Excel format.
Okay, sorry. Tell me again.
So please go to dashboard.
Dashboard,
there
okay.
you will be able to see questions. So 34 questions are there.
43.
Click on 34 and you will be able to see all the questions in Excel format.
Questions, like in dashboards, there's questions, right?
Yeah. Click on number 35 and then
it's showing
you
44.
will be able to see the
Yeah,
questions.
it is showing. Yeah. It is showing 44. I think you have to click on that, Madhukar, and
yeah, I'm clicking that, but it's not working. Okay, so I'm not able to. It's not coming. Okay, anyways, I think in the down section I'm able to see. So will the question of Kiran is, will the word to wake model work on passive candidates who do not update their resumes often? Okay, so if you are referring to the ARS product that we have built, again the word to wake model that we have used. Okay, so now the concept of word to wake model is, basis whatever you have mentioned in the resume. Okay, so you will extract all those skills, and then all the skills will get converted into different vectors. Okay, and then you will use that vectors to do the cosine similarity and get the score. Now so it is completely dependent on the information that is being passed in the resume. Okay, there's no other way out. If like let's say if you don't have that information, the other way is like how you can populate. Like let's say for example, if somebody is there's one way we have come up with a way of in terms of inactive candidates who have not updated their resume for the past, like let's say 1 year, 2 year or something like that, but whatever skill set that they have mentioned in their resume. So for example, if the candidate has not come for the past 2 years, again, so most of the time it happens that you continue working in the same industry, so you start acquiring the related skill set. So we have a skill to skill library. Okay, we also know the related skills, at the same time associations between them. So we choose the top 5 skills or top 10 skills and add that into the existing skill set, whatever the candidate had mentioned 2 years back. So assuming that they might have come up with the addition, they might have learned additional skills, and that's how you extract that information, add that, and then make them into vector, and that's how word to wake model can work. There's no other way. This is the only way. Now the other question of Kiran is, there are models to spot gaps between education and work. Why Shine is not using them? There are models to spot gaps between education and work. So Kiran, I'm not sure which model you are referring to, but if you'll ask me, this is a very if you are just trying to identify gaps between education and work, it's pretty simple and straightforward. Point noted. We'll look into this again. At the same time, this is a pretty straightforward. Like let's say for example, your last education you completed in 2000, and then you started working from 2002. So there's a 2-year gap. So there's no need of any model. You can just directly deduce from that deduce information from the resume itself. So we anyways have a very good in-house parser, and moving forward we can very easily handle this. So Shubhi Ahuja, she is asking, please elaborate on the AI technologies that enable the projects. Was AWS etc. used for passing? Okay. So Shubhi, the thing is, like if I talk about AI technologies, this forum might not be the right one, or I'll say there would be time limitations, because I can I teach data science also in various universities, data science and artificial intelligence. So I can talk about 20 different algorithms. Okay, And so for example, in whether it's an unsupervised problem or a supervised problem, if it is a supervised problem, then you go ahead and use whether it's a supervised regression or classification problem or unsupervised or deep learning algorithms. There are 20, 25, 30 different algorithms that is there to solve the problem. Now, what particular algorithm you use to solve which particular problem, that is obviously problem dependent, that is data dependent, and basis that you go ahead and if it is a classification problem, you'll apply classification machine learning algorithm, or you can go ahead and use deep learning algorithm, or you can custom train your neural network, or you can go ahead and use state-of-the-art algorithm that is already available in the market, and then you go ahead and do the transfer learning. For example, we are using BERT algorithm. We have used GloVe vector, which was developed by Google. BERT again is a state-of-the-art algorithm that pretty much everyone is using at this point of time. We also tried Spacies. There are various standard algorithm that also we try and use. At the same time, we custom as far as custom neural network is concerned, we also do that. So that's all about is in terms of AI technologies we are using. How a conversion can be done, Nidhi Thakur. So that's I am assuming that you are asking about if Nidhi, I'm assuming that you are a recruiter and you are asking about how a conversion can be done. So again, this is very tricky, and again, this is a combination of science and art. So not all the problems can be solved through science, and some problems would remain be art problem. How you exactly solve it, because during the complete hiring process, how do you anticipate if that candidate is very good, the chances that particular candidate would get multiple offers is very high. If the candidate is not very good, you also might not go ahead and give the offer to the particular candidate. So this is a pretty much tricky situation. Yeah, again, as I mentioned earlier, there are various ways we are trying to do the matchmaking between the recruiter and candidate. Some of them we have been able to solve, but again, not necessarily everything we would be able to solve at it will take some time, and then there would be some art problem that we'll have to deal in a different way. I hope I have answered your question, Nidhi. So now next question is Saurav Kapoor. Hi Madhukar, thanks for the wonderful session. Thanks Saurav. Want to ask two things. Saurav, I'm sorry, I just see want to ask two things, but I'm not able to see what exactly two things you want to ask. So Vasundhara, Tanisha, in case I'm answering other questions, in case you get that, please tell me, I'll try to answer that.
Madhukar, question is itself incomplete.
Yeah, question is incomplete. Yeah. So now next again is Nidhi, smart recruiter ideas. So not sure, Nidhi, what exactly you mean from this. So in terms of using AI through different use cases, which I already talked about, how a recruiter can go ahead and look for the right candidates. In terms of matching algorithms, we are continuously using right AI algorithms, or I'll say best AI algorithm that can help recruiters identify the right candidates. So that's what we are continuously working on. Ranu Parwal, the question is, need to understand how a job posting hit ratio being increased, how a job posting hit ratio being increased. Good. So Ranu, I'll pass this feedback to my customer operations head, and we'll revert back on this. Now Ruchir the question is, how does this stand apart from competitors? Yeah. So good, Ruchir, in a nutshell, I'll be very honest, So prior to this, it's 14 years in this analytics space, and it was always my idea, like, any particular industry, if you have the right ingredients within you, if you know the right algorithms, if you have the good understanding of the, if you have good algorithmic knowledge, you would be able to apply into various different industries. And that's why, in all my earlier organizations, primarily, I have worked in, so my first company was American Express, then the G Money or WNS, so primarily I have worked with banks or BFS sector, even if a third party, it was like that. So here in this case, recruitment space, this is the first time I joined a recruitment space. And again, so in terms of competition, I might not be able to give you the exact picture, because this is not the I have not been in this industry since starting. I'm still learning the nuances. What I can tell you that, yes, I'm well versed with artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, and that's what I and my team are helping the organization in solving various problems. In terms of competition, a few things I can talk definitely about myself, that as compared to 1 year back, whatever we have achieved in a year, I'm super proud of. And like, let's say, for example, CV parser we didn't have. I'm not sure about my competition, whether whether they have their in-house CV parser or not, what exactly, whether they have the ARS system or not. So I'm not sure about all the other things, but definitely I can, I'm much more comfortable talking about myself. So sorry about that, Ruchir. Is ranking, so next question is again, Shubhi, is ranking for candidates with jobs done basis rules, or is it ML based? If yes, what algo are we looking at? Recommender systems, KNN. Shubhi, is ranking for candidates with jobs done basis rules? No. So Shubhi, we are not doing this basis rules. As I mentioned, the ARS, application relevance score, it is artificial intelligence or ML based. You wanted to understand what algo we are using Word2Vec model. At the same time, first we tried and trained our Word2Vec model on our data set, but then what we do did, like, use glove vector, because it was trained on 840 billion tokens. So that started giving us good results. So now we are using glove vector for that. So definitely KNN is not. KNN is, it's K nearest neighbor, and it is one of the, also in our parlance we call it as one of the most laziest algorithm. It doesn't have any cost function. It's the only algorithm which doesn't have the cost function. All the other algorithms have cost function, where you try to optimize the cost function and all that. So straight this KNN is being used in classification problems. And so no, we are not using KNN here. We are using Word2Vec and glove vector. What is your opinion on companies' own talent pool management? This is a question from Megha. So what is your opinion on companies' own talent pool management? Sorry, Megha, I'm not sure if I am able to understand this question correctly. So if this is question on how internal talent pool management is being managed by the companies and all that, if this is the question, then also I won't be the right person to answer that. Okay, but definitely something like, let's say, how different products, like some of the products that we are building, like we also have a Shine Learning. I'm not sure whether you guys know about that or not. So we have all the candidate information. We know their skill set. We know which what particular jobs they are applying for. Also, we know the skill gap, and basis that skill gap, we recommend courses to them to upgrade their skills. Okay, so we are also trying to build some products, and which eventually might be down the line we start selling as SaaS products, and then definitely something we can look into. But at the point I'm not sure how internal how companies should manage that internally. So currently some so this is a question from again Ranu. Currently some easy assignments like HR head or PHP developer also have subdued response. Okay, Ranu, point well taken. We'll look into this, and we'll see what can be done on this. Next question is Simran. Want to understand more about sectional parser CV feature? Yeah. So Simran, yeah. So sectional CV parser, as I mentioned, so I'm not sure whether. Okay, so I'm assuming that you are not referring to technicalities of this. You are referring to how this sectional parser CV features would be used. So for example, in my sectional CV parser, what exactly we are doing? So we are extracting first a different section. So be it a PDF format or doc format or docx format, we are extracting all the relevant information. So when I'm saying all the relevant information, what exactly I mean? I mean like all the personal details. So first name, last name, email ID, address, phone number. These would constitute in the personal section. Now then personal section, then education details, which like let's say all the colleges, or what is the last degree that this particular candidate has, like post graduation or graduation or BTech, or what is the candidate's educational qualification. So there's a education section, there's a professional section where the people write about their company and designation. So like let's say if a candidate has written if a candidate has worked in 5 different companies, there would be 5 companies, there would be 5 designations. So we are able to extract that. At the same time, there are a couple of resumes where there are few resumes in which folks are working in companies, but they are working in third-party companies, and they work on client side or on client projects, where they also mentioned a client name of the client company, okay, in their resume. So my CV parser is smart enough to not mention like that company or client name as a company of the candidate. So we are able to differentiate that no, this is not the company that the candidate has worked on. This is the client for which the candidate has worked on different projects. Yeah. So these are different and also the most important thing, skills. What are the skills that this candidate has? So some of the candidates write key skills in their initial pages, like first page they mention about the key skills. Some of the guys do not mention that key skills, or some of the guys mention a few key skills, but during the entire in the entire resume there might be new skills that they might have mentioned and they might not have mentioned in their key skill section. So my resume parser is smart enough to traverse the complete resume and then extract all the relevant key skills. Now also we have gone one step ahead, and we have come up with a algorithm which identifies important skills versus non-important skills for that particular candidate. Okay, and that will directly be used in search, where we say that in snippet what exactly we are showcasing. That is very important. So there is a section called key skills, and there is a section may also know, the candidate may also know. So in if you already know that for this particular candidate these are the key skills, right, or important skills, so all the important skills should start appearing first as compared to non-important skills, may also know will may follow the similar pattern and all that. So that's what, these are the sectional parser, CV parser feature. So I hope Simran, I have answered your question. Now next is Saurabh. Okay, so Saurabh, first question of Saurabh is, how do you validate the results of personalization recommendation given to a recruiter or job seeker? How do you validate the results of personalization recommendation? Yeah, so very valid question. So I'll tell you, few of the personalization thing, it's very easy, and candidate himself or herself mention on the portal, like, for example, I'm looking for a job, okay, and then my current location is Gurgaon, and my preferred location is also Gurgaon. So obviously, when I'm, like, for example, data scientist jobs, I'm looking to change my company, I'm looking for data scientist jobs, okay. Now obviously I myself have given a preference, right? So current location and preferred location, that is Gurgaon. So though I might be, in terms of matching, there might be a better match job in Bangalore or Hyderabad, better data scientist job in Bangalore or Hyderabad. But in my case, my search or the search engine, should throw jobs, data scientist job in Gurgaon in initial pages. So because I have already mentioned about my current or preferred location. Second preference is, like, if I am based out of Gurgaon, and though I have not mentioned, like, let's say if I have not mentioned about my preferred location, then also system within, that is a normal human psyche, that until unless you would be forced to, or preferred situation, otherwise you would want to continue in the current location. So yeah, that's what is being easy thing to do. But now in terms of how do you do the validation, that's a very tricky thing. Again, few other things that I talked about in the personalization section is still we are working on, and like these things that I talked about personalization, that is easy, and we can assume that. But definitely how to come up with a validation mechanism, interesting thing, point well taken. I'll when we complete this exercise, we'll look into how to do the validation, because this is an interesting space, I must admit. Saurabh, thanks for this very interesting question. Now next is Purushottam. The question of Purushottam is, are the ARS etc products already live? Can we use those? Yes, Purushottam, the ARS is completely live on, it's 100% completely live. You can very well use that. You can go ahead and experience that onto our portal. Parul Chalma, not able to see the questions. Tanisha or Vasundhara, please help Parul in terms of questions.
Questions are not visible to audience. There will be a Q&A guide sent to all the audience people with the answers.
Okay. Again, second question of Saurabh is, can you throw some light on how AI help in removing the clutter from job portals based on jobs that have expired? Saurabh, very complex question. Can you throw some light on how can AI help in removing the clutter from job portals? Okay, clutter on jobs that have been expired. Easier said than done. If you'll ask me, like, let's say, for example, if a job is expired, then it should not be on the job portal, right? So if the job has already been expired, it should not be live on the portal at the first place. So if that is there, the clutter and everything will automatically go away. But I'm not sure I don't have the complete information, like whether still on our portal, there's a process of cleaning the jobs, but what is the cycle and all that, I'm completely not sure about that. But yeah, if we'll take my opinion, it would be my personal opinion, I'll say that jobs that have been expired, that should not be on the portal, so that would definitely help. That should definitely help. Next question is Umas Akaria. Akaria, the question is, how do you measure of AI implementation success from a recruiter's point of view? Yeah, this is a very good question, Umas. Thanks for asking this. As I mentioned in my slide, in Search 2.0 slide, so earlier what we used to do, like and I'll answer this in two ways. First is like, so earlier what we used to do, like, we used to build a product and then do a internal QA testing and then used to go live. Okay, now what happens is, now we have changed the process. Now what we have done, one second. Now what we have done, that after that internal QA testing, we don't go live. What we do, we do the beta test, beta launch of the product. When I say beta launch of the product, we have hired a panel of seasoned recruiters who do the job of testing for us, like, and when I'm talking about product, obviously the AI thing is already there in the picture, like, whenever I'm talking about a product development, obviously, to solve that particular problem, we have applied one or the other algorithm in artificial intelligence to solve that particular problem. Once the product is ready, then we are going ahead and first do the internal QA testing, then beta test launch with the seasoned recruiters, again seasoned recruiters from the industry. These are not Shine employees, so they evaluate, or so they evaluate the product. So all the AI implementation has already been done, and then the set of the panel of seasoned recruiters, they do the testing, then they do the and you can assume they already have worked in the recruitment industry, they know all the nuances and all that, and that's why they are able to pass the right feedback to us. There's a strong feedback mechanism. Then we take the feedback, do the evaluation, and then if there is something that needs to be corrected, we go ahead and change that and come up with a new version of the product, and then we go ahead and do the live to the recruiters. Now the next is, again, this is one portion. Second is, like, let's say whenever a feature is live, our customer success team are constantly in touch with the recruiters, right? They also train them, teach them what are the new features that have been added, how it is going to make your life easy. Okay, and if they are not able to understand that, then obviously AI is, why we are using AI is just to make recruiters life easy. If we are not able to do so, then there's no point of using AI, or it doesn't matter what kind of algorithm we are using. So all the thing is, like, it should make recruiters life easy. So that's why customer success team is constantly in touch with recruiters, and then try to understand, like, these are the product we have launched, this is the new feature that we have launched, and if you're not able to understand, tell us the gap, and then we accumulate the gap, the customer success team, then that information is being passed. And mind it, we there's a big level of meeting that happens internally. I am also a part of that search group. So we meet twice in a week, and that is a very extensive meeting where our customer success head also talks about the client feedback, or how it has been perceived in the market and all that, and we take into consideration, and then whatever needs to be corrected, we go ahead and do the correction. So much, I hope I have answered your question. Okay, so Parul, okay, sir, can we Parul is saying, can we arrange a special session to get best from you for recruiters? Definitely, we can do that. Vasundhara and Tanisha, please, look into this. So, Parul will get back to you on this. So next question is, Megha, how are we going to capture capabilities from AI search? How are we going to capture capabilities from AI search? I'm not sure, Megha, if I understood your questions correctly. If you want to say that, like let's say if the search 2.0, so for example, I'm just trying to, decompose your question. So like, let's say search 2.0, we have already make live. AI, is a part of that search 2.0 because, various things that we have applied, various algorithms that we have applied at the backend, AI is being used. And then obviously, you can go ahead and experience that search 2.0 on our portal. I would request you to go on our portal and experience that. And in case you see any gaps, we would love to hear from you. This is what the idea is also. Couple of products, we were also discussing internally that if we can combine with the recruiters from various organizations, and we can become so that Shine and the organization, that organization can be any organization. If they are interested in heavy AI led projects or products, then we can do a combined exercise. We can build a product which would be suited for the organization, and then that's how it would be a win-win situation for both, like and how AI can help in their organization basis, their organizational biases and requirements and all that. So we are completely open about that. So we can go ahead and build the product continuously. We get the feedback from the recruiter, so that would be a win-win situation from both. So in case any recruiter or any guy representing the organization is interested in doing that, I would be happy to be a part of that, and we definitely would like to go ahead on that. Next question is Anuj Buddhi Raja. Tanisha, there's a hard stop at 6, right?
Yes, Madhukar.
Okay, so I'll try to wrap up all the questions before that. So still I can say 15-16 questions. So Anuj, the next question is how to get remote locations like small rural districts, which is not mentioned in Shine repository. So Anuj, to be able to tell you about that, there are few locations which are not there in repository, which were earlier not a part of repository. But let me tell you very honestly, we are constantly working on that, because our marketing team is looking into that, and looking into different small and rural cities or districts which is not mentioned. So we are looking into that, how to increase or enhance our repository, how to include those locations which are not part of that. So there might be different solutions. Right now I don't have the exact answer, but definitely I can promise you that we are working on that. So like, let's say for example, if you're talking about a small tier 3 or tier 4 city in Bihar, for example, that might not be even available on Shine, but definitely we are looking into, like, let's say for that for example, that particular location might not be, if we are not able to go to that extent, we might be able to do some clustering exercise, and we come up with for that particular location, we might go ahead and do some clubbing of 3-4 locations, and then come up with new repository. So this is, Anuj, we are already working on. Shubhi, the next question is information from other social profiles, LinkedIn, GitHub, also crawled? and added for a fuller profile. No, we are not doing that. Rishi Patil, if there are no profiles with skill combination are, if there are no profiles with a skill combination are available, then how does AI decide which profiles to share? Like JavaScript plus Electron. Interesting. Okay. So like let's say for example, if you mention JavaScript plus Electron, now the question is, are you saying Java's if the search understand this as JavaScript or Electron, then obviously for Electron, if Electron is not a skill set, for all the resume, the JavaScript, wherever JavaScript is mentioned, that would come. Now if you are mentioning JavaScript and Electron, then yeah, definitely. If there is no resume which has JavaScript and Electron, yeah, then there might be challenge. But again, at the same time, I'm just giving you a scenario. Okay, so I told you at the back end, in the core layer, what we do query decomposition, query recognition, and query reconstruction. So in query reconstruction, we do the semantic expansion, right? And when we are doing semantic expansion, then there would be various, and again, whatever I'm talking about, you can safely assume that AI is being used. Now JavaScript, what are the related skill set on JavaScript? There would be like let's say 8-10 different skill set that would be associated with JavaScript. Now if I look to Electron, and if there are some skill set that is if there are some keywords associated to Electron, that would also be there. And then you can assume various permutation combinations of the semantic expansion. Then also if there's in some permutation combination, if there are being mentioned in the resume, then that will come out. So that's what AI can do. Parul, again, I think Parul, you have already, as recruiter, we need guideline from you to get the best result from portal. Is it possible to arrange one session for 30 minutes? Parul, to be very honest, if you are asking about, how to best use the portal, then, I'll say the best guy, I'm not the best guy. For that, my customer service team, would be the best one who can exactly guide you how to use, this feature and all that, because they are doing this day in, day out. They are in touch of all the recruiters. They understand the nuances. So they are much better suited to answer, this question if you want to understand, how to use the existing search. While I'll be the right person to talk about all the thing that goes at the back end, definitely I can also help you, but again, I can answer more complex questions in terms of what is happening at the back end, how AI is being used. That's why we are having this webinar. But again, if that helps, we can we'll come back, we'll do the internal thing, and then we'll come back if more recruiters want a session or webinar session with me. That's one of the reason why we did this webinar. If you guys want more webinars from me, I would be more than happy to do that. So Tanisha and Vasundhara can take care of that, and we'll be more happy to do that. Now Bindu Thakur, the next question is, lot of resumes are not updated. Can AI help in that? Yes, but again, this is very tricky. Okay, so Bindu, the answer is yes and no. Why I am saying no? I can't force you. I can't force you to update your resume. Like let's say, for example, if you'll come and tell me to update my resume and all that, I'll not do. I'm not interested. I'll not do that. If I'm adamant that I'll not do, it doesn't matter. Whatever algorithm you apply, you won't be able to persuade me to update my resume and upload on the portal, job portal. Okay, so that's why I'm saying no. Now why I'm saying yes? Okay, so what exactly can be done? So for example, that's what I've given one example on the revival side. So for example, candidate have not updated their resume, okay, for the past 2 years. Okay, so now I have all the information last 2 years last resume that was there on the profile. So though it is 2 years back dated, but I can pick that, and then I have the in-house CV parser. I can extract all the relevant information. Now I can apply AI, and then I have key skills. I can extract key skills. I can extract important skills versus non-important skills. I can also for example, experience. I'll add the experience by 2 years in terms of CTC. I can safely do even if 10% salary increase, I'll add 20% salary increase. And then skill set, I'll do the we have a skill to skill matching algorithm. We also know this particular skill is 90% associated with skill 1 as compared to 70% associated with skill 2, so on and so forth. So we can assume that in last 2 years this particular candidate might have learned 5 more skills that we can already safely add to the profile. And then we can come up with this is exactly what my team is working on, and it should be live by this month. So then for all the candidates who are already inactive, okay, now we'll be sending the job recommendations to them. So basis the improved version, I'm adding the experience, I'm adding the salary, I'm adding the skill set, and then after that I'm doing a match with my jobs on the portal, and then we'll be sending the job recommendations. Okay, and then if that job is of interest to that particular candidate, then they might be forced to come back to the portal and update their profile. So that's how AI can help. So Simran, next question, Simran's question is, does the new 2.0 version allow recruiter to know which candidate is already offered a job? Not sure I understood this question. So if you are saying that, okay, I'm assuming that you want to ask that, for example, as a recruiter, you have clicked a candidate and you want to understand if this candidate has already a job offer. Then the answer is no, obviously. Until unless candidates pass this information to us, we won't be able to know this information. Yeah. The next question. So now I only have 13 minutes left, so I'll just be quickly answering all the questions remaining all the questions. So Arun is asking, how often does algorithms governing the AI are updated, and is there any continuous feedback system employed to improve the effectiveness of the algorithms? Yeah, definitely. When you're talking about AI, so AI is self-learning models, and continuously it learns, and then if you are applying simple machine learning, then you need to update those models in a regular interval, might be depending on the business problem. But if you're talking about deep learnings and all that, then continuously it gets continuously learns from the system and gets upgraded. Is Shine used for leadership level hiring? This is a question for Chaitali Deb. Chaitali, we do have senior profiles with us. I'll say I'm not the right person to answer this question, because I don't have the data currently with me, where I've looked into what exactly recruiters what kind of recruiters are doing what kind of hiring, leadership level hiring and all that. So at the moment I don't have the information, so that's why sorry, I won't be able to answer this. Again, next question is Ajay. How Shine cleans up the data used in AI ML? Let's say if a few recruiters are unusual combination of skills and that is picked by Shine's algorithm, where I don't need that skill combination but still see that in the search results. Ajay, there's a standard way whenever you are using AI or ML. There's a standard way how you do the data pre-processing or cleaning. So obviously whenever we are applying that algorithm, we are doing those kind of cleaning. Next is Amit. When we mention certain skill, said D, I'm not sure why is that the search throws up other skill. Okay, so if I'm understanding the it's correctly, when we mention certain skill sets, why is that in search throws up the other skill, other ill skill, etc. candidates? Yeah, because you're not only looking for exact match, we are looking for semantic. We do the semantic expansion in the core piece, and that's why but definitely the right matches or the preferences of the recruiters should rank higher as compared to other skill set that comes from semantic expansion. Question from Ranjit is, we have taken service from shine.com in December 2019 and till now I didn't get good profiles and search engine is not user friendly. So Ranjit, I can say right now we have implemented search 2.0. I just hope that there are various features that we have added, and it is much better than the earlier version of the search. So I'm assuming that if you'll experience, and we have just recently launched it, so now if you go to the portal and experience that, so I'm assuming I hope that such experience that you get would be much better as compared to the earlier one. Also at the same time I would request for you still if you don't get the feedback, if you don't get the good profiles etc and all that, basis your requirement, please pass the feedback to customer service team. I'm sure account manager and customer service team would anyways be in touch with you, so you can pass the feedback and we can definitely take that up. Amit asks, when we mention certain skill sets, why is it that the search throw up candidates with other skill sets? So I have already answered that question, Amit. Kiran Kumar, thank you for answering. Thanks, Kiran. Arpita, sometimes people take education gap between work. Is that we want it can be incorporated in the CV summary? Yeah. I'm not sure how this is a question, but yeah, definitely if you're taking a gap between work, that you can add to the summary. Nidhi Thakur, as we are in medical industry working for doctors, so profile are less in Shine. Yeah, point well taken. We are working towards that. So our customer sorry, our acquisition team is already working on that, so down the line you should see more profiles from the healthcare or medical industry. Saurabh, again this is Saurabh, how do you validate the results of so Saurabh, I have already answered these two questions that you had asked. How to search for hospital industry data? Again, Nidhi, is the same thing. How you do the search, like industry, there is a filter industry as a filter also you can use, or in the a box you can type the industry, that search 2.0 should be able to understand that. Also, in terms of, in case you are having any problem in using or understanding search 2.0, please I'm assuming that you are already touch in customer success team or the account manager team. Please pass the feedback, and they should be able to help you out. Smita, how can AI help to get good response from the job posting? We are already working on that. So in terms of job recommendation, we are using AI algorithm for that. So when we are sending job recommendations, again for revival candidates also, we are using we'll be sending job recommendations. So yeah, we are working on that, and that you should see a drastic improvement. I only have 5 minutes left, so I'll be quick. Can we have medium of education in search part like vernacular medium, semi? Okay, point well taken. We'll pass this feedback. Next question is Kalpesh. Data of technical person like electrician, machine operators, workshop work is hard to find. Okay. Again, this is a feedback. Well taken, Kalpesh. I'll pass this. Can you throw again, Saurabh, the same question? Can you throw some AI help in remove the clutter of? I have already answered that question, Saurabh. How to do a precise search on Shine for beginners? Guncha, again, all the questions. I work for doctors and hospitals profile. How could I get more results from them? Please answer our questions. Yeah, so Guncha, Hari, I'm not sure if you are already if you are already using Shine. In terms of, please go ahead and use search 2.0. It's a much better version as compared to our earlier search. So I am assuming that experience would be much better. In case still if you are having any problem, please pass the feedback to account manager and customer success team. Anyways, when I'm mentioning that, please don't assume that all your feedback which you are which you are posting here, we are not taking into consideration. We'll be taking due consideration of all the feedbacks that you are passing here. We'll take that also. At the same time, any problem that you face, please pass the feedback to account manager or the customer success team, and we'll definitely take it up and try to solve that. So thanks everyone for joining this webinar. It was nice answering all these questions. It was nice sharing all what we have already achieved and what we are already working on. So Tanisha, over to you. Tanisha.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for attending Shine HR Live today. Thank you, Madhukar, for sharing your inputs. The recording of this session will be shared with all of you post the webinar along with the feedback link. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Vasundhara. Thanks, Tanisha. Thanks, everyone.